Hello everyone, back tuning in today's second video. So we're going to have a 5-day forecast. You can find the video down here on the home page. Just scroll down the page a little bit and it's above the polling count. It'll be an interesting 5 days coming up because we're starting off very, very wet in the southeast today, but we will find improvements coming along over the next 5 days. Things will be calming down a little bit, so it's going to turn a bit warmer, a bit dry. Not completely settled, but sort of a slightly drier, warmer interlude before things deteriorate again next week. And that's what we're going to pick up with the storyline for today's second video. We're going to extend out beyond the 5-day forecast period and have a look at whether it's week 10 days and also the Beijing Climate Centre for the next 40 days. And that takes us well into September as well. So we're going to start off with the radar picture. And it's looking very wet down in the southeast. As I say, we've got heavy rain across East Anglia in towards the south of the East Midlands, and then particularly across southeastern parts of the country where we've got a slow-moving, rather stuck area of torrential rain. If you have a look at the lightning detector, we can see that we have got some flashes of lightning there off the tip of Kent. This being the radar picture from the weatheroutlook.com, of course. So it's going to carry on pouring with rain down in the southeast through the rest of this afternoon and into this evening. Slow moving, stuck area of heavy, persistent, places torrential rain because of the intensity of the rain, with some rumbles of thunder, maybe a flash of lightning somewhere as well. But it really is the rain that's the main feature. It could well cause localised flooding down in the southeast, very nasty afternoon. And it's going to carry on into the evening before gradually, ever so slowly, easing overnight. But it is going to be a slow old process to get this rain out of the southeast. If you want to know more about this rain and the weather for the next few days, and check out the 5-day forecast with the video, as I say, here on the homepage. You can also get the written version from the buttons at the top of this page. So, extending out beyond 5-day forecast period, having a look at whether it's week to 10 days, the next couple of weeks, these are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. Today we're looking at Lincoln. So I was explaining in the video yesterday that the new version of WeatherCentre.de has ensemble data from pretty much every town in the United Kingdom now. So you can go to whatever town is local to you and you can have a look at the ensemble for your particular location. Today I've chosen Lincoln. We're going to change this around every day. So yesterday I was looking at Northampton, today looking at Lincoln. Tomorrow we'll look at somewhere else, rather than just constantly looking at London as we have been doing. So the red line here is the upper air temperature average, and we're cooler than average at the moment. Going to go a little bit warmer at the end of the week, but then cooler again actually as we get through into the weekend. And overall, it looks like these temperatures are staying around, or maybe even a little bit under the seasonal average for the next week, certainly maybe even the next couple of weeks. There are a few hot outliers late on, but they aren't particularly well supported. Overall, that's a pretty coolish looking ensemble there for Lincoln. Precipitation is quite interesting. So this spike just here is today's rainfall. There's a few spikes coming up around Friday, not all that many, but it might turn a little bit damper on Friday. But overall, it looks like we've got a drier period setting up now from sort of today, tomorrow, and then going through into next week. So that period just there is looking a lot drier. But then you'll notice after that, around the 15th of August, the rainfall spikes are coming back. It does look as though it turns quite wet again as we get through beyond the middle part of the month. So this period just here is actually looking really quite wet indeed. If you have a look at the surface temperatures and pressure at Lincoln, we can see that again the surface temperatures are staying rather cool. So those temperatures we're just looking at, they're upper air temperatures, but these are the surface temperatures. Starting off at 15 degrees again today, very, very cool day indeed. Tomorrow, get a little bit of a recovery through to the end of the week, up towards 20 degrees Celsius. Certainly nothing to get excited about, but a little bit warmer, a little bit closer to where we'd expect things to be really in the early part of August. And that continues into next week. before maybe we see signs of cooling off from the middle part of next week as it turns more unsettled again. I think there is a little bit of a downwards trend back under 20 degrees once more. Now, right at the very end, we are getting, you'll notice, a few hot outliers beginning to appear then. That's going up towards the final week of August. Is that the first signs of pressure starting to increase to the final week of August, and maybe something a bit hotter coming along? Let's have a look at the pressure ensemble. So this is where we're starting off at, under 1,020 millibars. We're going to go a bit higher with the pressure in the next 24 hours, get a bit of a reach tomorrow, but then the pressure lowers again at the end of the week into the weekend. It looks like we're a bit up and down with the pressure really over the next week or so, which is telling us that we're getting, we're in an unsettled pattern overall. So we're getting ridges building in, that they're flattened off by troughs, and then we go back into another ridge and then flattened off again by another trough. We've got that coming up into the second half of August. After that, perhaps a more definitive lowering of pressure there, before maybe signs, only slight signs really, but signs perhaps of an increase in pressure there right at the very end of the ensemble, which is taking us into the final week of August. And that, of course, would be coinciding with some of these warmer outlier members that are appearing just there. So it might be that the final week of August is going to turn hotter and drier, but it's a long way off, and I wouldn't want to go too over the top with that at this stage. Let's just keep monitoring and see what happens there. The temperature anomaly for the next week, this takes us from the 9th to the 17th of August, coming out cooler than average, not just for the UK, but for many western parts of Europe. The east of Europe is still looking very, very warm, if not really hot, actually, over in the east and the southeast, but cool up to the north and the west of Europe. Precipitation-wise, in terms of the anomaly from the 9th to the 17th of August, it's generally a little bit on the wetter than average side, average to a little bit wetter than average through most parts of the UK and Ireland. Over in America, yes, the east-west split goes on. How often have we been saying this over this summer? So western parts of the states looking hot, very hot, over in the western states. The breadbasket and over towards the east, it's significantly cooler with those temperature anomalies from the 9th to the 17th of August. Precipitation-wise, a bit of a mixed bag, but overall this central swathe of the states is looking quite wet. It's a little bit drier up towards the northeast, up towards the Great Lakes. It's also very dry in the weekend across California, but these central states do actually look quite wet. Coming back closer to home, we'll have a look at the GFS for the next week to 10 days. So this is how things are looking on Sunday. Slight ridge on Sunday, and that just about lasting to Monday for the south, but already low pressure starting to come back in from off the Atlantic. By Tuesday, we're back under low pressure again, and that looks unsettled with more rain coming in on Tuesday. Perhaps a bit drier in the south on Wednesday, but you'll notice the westerlies, the areas of low pressure are getting themselves together. So we've got low pressure here, we've got low pressure there, low pressure and another low pressure and more low pressure here. That looks like the Atlantic is lining up for another bit of an onslaught. As we go into second half next week, these areas of low pressure start to move in from off the Atlantic Ocean, bringing no doubt bands of rain and showers in between. So early next week, a little bit drier and warmer, but it doesn't last very long at all. And by the second half next week, we're back into, dare I say it, quite autumnal type conditions. ECWF, so there's that little ridge there for Sunday, will give us a slight chance to pause for breath over the weekend, just about holding on into Monday, but by Tuesday low pressure is coming in from the west. Also interestingly, ECWF has this low pressure here around Biscay. That could be threatening something thundery to the south perhaps on Tuesday. The GFS doesn't show that, but it might be something to keep an eye on. By Wednesday, we're into this proper sort of westerly flow, and it's showery and unsettled. Then we go through into the second half next week, turns increasingly unsettled. That has a distinct look of autumn about it as we get through to Saturday, 19th of August, day 10. In a real westerly flow, cool westerly winds with showers or longer spells of rain. So it's staying changeable essentially into the second half of the month. Let's just close out with Beijing Climate Centre for the next 40 days. So these are the 500 millibar heights broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period taking us from the 11th to the 20th of August. Below average heights up to the north and west, above average heights down to the south, but still generally bringing this unsettled westerly flow through from the Atlantic Ocean. So rather changeable period, and particularly to the north and west, quite wet. A little bit drier at times down in the south and southeast. Now we go through to the final 10 days of August, and this is showing a change. This is the 21st of August through to the 30th. And above average heights are building quite strongly there around the UK and going into many central parts of Europe as well. The below average heights of low pressure are being shoved off to the north and the west. We're doing something like that with the jet stream. So that would be an improving situation. We would be turning things warmer and drier there as we're going into the final 10 days of August. We might be just in the very, very first signs of the GFS Ensemble starting to pick up on that as well. But I don't want to say too much about that. But certainly the model, the long-range model of Beijing Climate Centre, is signalling a change to something warmer and drier for the final week to 10 days of August. Then through to the first 10 days of September, this taking us from the 31st of August to the 9th of September, we find above average heights continuing really close to the UK. Jet stream still going a bit to the north. There might be some unsettled weather to the north of the country at times, but overall still fairly dry and quite warm there for the early part of September. And then go through to the final 10 days, days 31 to 40, long way out, takes us to the 10th to the 19th of September. And look at this, big ridge is building close to the UK. Below average heights down to our southwest. We're doing something like that with the flow and with the jet stream. I'm sure that would deliver a lot of dry and very warm weather into September. So, and that tends to be, I've spoken about this in videos a lot, it tends to be something that we get very regularly in the UK in that August, often around the summer holidays, it tends to be quite unsettled and cool. September, everybody goes back to work, goes back to school, and summer returns, and the Beijing Climate Centre is going for a very classic sort of September with a lot of warm and dry weather signalled there. Will it come off? Well, it happens very regularly in the UK like this, but of course the model might have this wrong. So all long-range forecasting is experimental. We've just got to wait and see. With a more reliable time frame, it's staying changeable. That's the basic message. We'll have a few days of more settled, drier conditions over the weekend, just about holding on inside of next week. But really, through next week, looks quite unsettled and changeable, especially towards the end of next week, where it turns very unsettled potentially, with quite a bit of rain and a bit of an autumnal feel. Right, that's all for now. Don't forget to check out the 5-day forecast if you haven't done so yet. Later on, today around 7 o'clock this evening, we'll have our second update for the V Festival. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.